sacred songs. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, early in the morning our song shall rise today. Holy, 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 merciful and mighty, God in three persons, blessed Trinity. Holy, 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 all the saints adore thee, casting down their golden crown around the glassy sea. Cherubims and seraphims falling down before thee, which wrought and not and nevermore shall be. Holy, 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 though the darkness hide thee, through the eyes of sinful men thy glory may not see. Only thou art holy, there is none beside thee, perfect in power, in love and purity. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, all thy works shall praise thy name in earth, sky, and sea. Holy, 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 merciful and mighty, God in three persons, blessed Trinity, most high, Jehovah.
Yeah. Rastafari.
Let's run from the golden altar, note here of this, our second name, we freely rise, and we shall follow along in man's feet of God. 22 from the sacred songs and soul. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty. Perfect in power. Bless.
Yes, royal family, blessed love, give thanks and praise. Blessed heart of Sabbath to each and every one. This is the African Liberation Network. I'm the host, Honorable Prophet Daniel, and this is the Bobo Shanti International Study Group. And we're doing, a special sabbatical live stream, touching on the Bible and its, proper use as it applies to the Bobo Shanti Livity, and just, trying to give a little bit more clarity and understanding as to its purpose and how we can and should not use it. So at this time, I will turn it over to the Honorable Leading Priest, Honorable Priest Dougie, to open the program with a prayer. Blessed love, Priest Dougie, my Lord. Blessed heart of Sabbath.
Blessed heart of Sabbath, family. Heart of love, everyone. Most High, Holy Emmanuel, I, Selassie, Jah,
Rastafari.
Lord of our Sabbath, hear our vows. On this thy day, in this thine house, and known as grateful sacrifice, the songs which from our temple rise unto thee. O thou great God of Zion, Holy Emmanuel, I, Selassie,
Jah,
Rasta,
Rastafari.
with us and sit with us, O Most High. Jah, Rasta,
Rastafari.
my Lord and Empress.
Honorable. Give thanks, my Lord. Yes, welcome, to one and all. Yeah, this is the first time we've ever live stream on the Sabbath. So this is, a special occasion, but maybe we'll be the first of, many, because, even though it's a Sabbath, it's definitely perfectly fine to reason, about things concerning our spiritual growth and development and understanding, So we see it as appropriate, to have this particular topic on this particular day at this time. So yes, give thanks for everyone, who's freeing themselves, to not feel away, and is open enough to join us in this moment. So yes, the Bible is something that it can be controversial. It can cause division. It has been known to cause war. It has, the Bible itself hasn't caused war, but the religion and the interpretations that have sprung from the words in the Bible have definitely caused war. It's really men and people who, take the words that some deem to be sacred and holy and turn it into a divisive tool, to control people and, inflict all kinds of heinous crimes upon other humans and even the earth itself, which I think is really contrary and contradictory to what the Bible itself stands for. So today, we're going to work together to bring forth more clarity on this particular topic and put the Bible into a proper perspective. And with that being said, I would like to give, a disclosure, if I may, to say that, we are the Bobo Ashanti Study Group. We're representatives of the Bobo Ashanti Study Group. Really, there's about, 20 plus members in the study group. And this topic, is us attempting to give more clarity and to help others to understand it better, because we all can always learn more, even though we may know a lot, we can still learn more because none of us knows it all. And we are just doing our part and doing as we see fit, sharing what we know and what we learn together by reasoning and researching. But this is by no means a definitive reasoning that, we're saying this is the absolute truth and nothing else is the truth. We're just doing, sharing what we know and what we could come up with amongst ourselves, and even as we reason today, I'm sure more clarity will come because often, when we begin to speak, we're bringing up what's inside of us. And sometimes we even say things that we had never put together before, and we get more clearance even as we talk, So reasoning is always better than preaching. And that's what we're here to do today, is to share some of the results of our reasoning, but also to reason in real time, And so those who are watching on YouTube, feel free, if you have comments, questions, to send those comments into the chat. If anybody is interested in joining us in the Zoom, you can ask. Well, actually, I can, once we get moving, I can share the Zoom link into the comment section on the Zoom, and feel free to join us, but do so with principle, when you join the meeting. Keep your microphone muted until you're called upon. You have to raise your hand to be called upon. Don't come in and just start talking because you could be interrupting someone. So yes, it's welcome for all, within principles of righteousness of salvation, So give thanks again, everyone who's here with us at this moment. Jah Rastafari. So with that being said, now we'll go into the topic. Yes. All right. So I would like to read a short passage from His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, his declaration of how he views the Bible, as he is, the center of the Rastafari faith. And so I would say that his words are definitely respected by us all, that interpreted by many, sometimes for right and sometimes for wrong still. But I would like to share it just to kind of set a collective understanding of, the fact that we, Bobo Ahanti, and even the study group in particular, are not here to argue, disagree with what our Trinity has spoken and said, but we are here to look for more clearance and more clarity of what they said, and to put things into proper context, and to help each other to understand what they mean when they say what they say, and how does what they say apply to us, etc. Because everything that any one person says, they can stand on it, but every one of us has a brain, everyone has a heart, and we all can think for ourselves. So it's to align ourselves with the truth of the Black Christ. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. This is taken from the Black Supremacy book, but it's one of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I's speeches. We in Ethiopia have one of the oldest versions of the Bible, but however old the version may be, in whatever language it might be written, the word remains one and the same. It transcends all boundaries of empires and all conception of race. It is eternal. No doubt, you all remember reading in the Acts of the Apostles how Philip baptized the Ethiopian official. He is the first Ethiopian on record to have followed Christ. And from that day onwards, the word of God has continued to grow in the hearts of Ethiopians. And I might say for myself that from early childhood, I was taught to appreciate the Bible, and my love for it increases with the passage of time. All through my troubles, I have found it a cause of infinite comfort. Quote, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Who can resist an invitation so full of compassion? Question. Because of this personal experience and the goodness of the Bible, I was resolved that all my countrymen should also share its great blessing, and that by reading the Bible, they should find truth for themselves. Therefore, I caused a new translation to be made from our ancient language into the language which the old and the young understood and spoke. Today, man sees all his hopes and aspirations crumbling before him. He is perplexed and knows not whither he is drifting, but he must realize that the Bible is his refuge and the rallying point for all humanity. In it, man will find the solution of his present difficulties and guidance for his future action. And unless he accepts with clear conscience the Bible and its great message, he cannot hope for salvation. For my part, I glory in the Bible. King Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. Yes, so give thanks for that, set the kind of a basic understanding that we are here. We defend the Bible same way, and we defend His Imperial Majesty and the words of right that came forth from his mouth. So yeah, at this time, I would turn it over. Well, I would ask the Honorable Leading Priest, our senior member in the study group of the EABIC, Honorable Priest Dougie, to give us some insight into how the Bobo Ahanti tradition employs the Bible. How do we use the Bible And, what role does it serve in our daily life as Bobo, Ashanti, priest, prophet, empress, prince, and princess, my Lord? You have to, yeah.
Give thanks, my Lord.
Worthy.
Yeah, man. Give thanks for the introduction. Such a speech. Like you said, it sets the tone of understanding. And a tradition is both. Well, it's more than just both. It's governmental, parliamental, churchical, statical, sabbatical. And within I tradition, the Bible plays a role in all those areas. In the sense of, it is a reference that helps to keep I centered. Further on in other speeches, the emperor said that it was created as a moral compass, but man has tampered with it and has misused it. Now for I as Bobo Ashanti, we use the Bible in our ceremonies, daily, because we're a house of priests and we have daily ceremonies that we perform. So the Bible is a very important tool within how we function. Now, with that said, we have to understand the Bible to properly be able to use the Bible. What do I mean by understand the Bible?
Priest, before you go into the understanding part, just kind of give us like the basics of how we use it. What services do we use it for? And then we'll reach into that part. Just kind of, because everybody doesn't necessarily know, those who are watching, what all the priests do with the Bible in the ceremonial churchical order of the Congress, my Lord.
Well, the Bible is used in our Psalms reading, first of all, which is usually the first element of our ceremonies. The Psalms cut and clear the way, so the rest of our activities can be smooth. So we use the Bible, use the Psalms especially, continuously, in most of what we do. We also use the Bible during our Sabbath ceremony. Again, the Psalms, we will read different books from the Bible on the Sabbath that reflect a message that the leading priest is trying to share with the congregation. We use the Bible in every one of our ceremonial services, whether it is for delegating the children, whether it's for morning devotion, like I said earlier, the Psalms reading, whether it is a celebration, celebrating His Imperial Majesty's Earth Day or our Queen Mother's Earth Day. No matter what celebration, the Bible is a key tool to what we do. So I think that would cover the most important aspects of how we use the Bible.
Give thanks, my Lord. Yes, so when you read the Black Supremacy book, which is as far as literature coming from the Congress, I mean the whole thing, every single page has biblical references. Could you, to the best of your ability, explain to us how you view the way King Emmanuel used the Bible to rally Black people towards, repatriation and like a current modern day exodus and deliverance of the Israelites and all of these things, my Lord.
Well, the camp yard is like a monastery, if not a monastery. And you know what a monastery is? It's a sacred space where spiritual matters are continuously discussed, spiritual documents are continuously read, interpreted, and spiritual documents are also written. The Father used the Bible to structure what we would consider liberation theology. He was able to use, and let's just get real with the reasoning, the King James Version of the Bible, the version of the Bible that has been sanctioned by our oppressors and our enslavers, and freely given to us, the only book that they have given freely to us. Because like the emperor said, in its interpretation, it can be used for many things. The Bible is used even in evilous works. That's the power, that's the power of the Bible. The Bible has such a power. The words of right, have such a power that it can be misused. Now, our Father understood the power of the scriptures, and he had the ability to look within them and bring out the truth out of the codification of it. Because like he often says, and I must read with understanding, because it is symbolic, and I must hold on to the right, which is ours, and let go the other aspect of it, which would be the negative element of it. So I and I, Father, was able to use the truthful meanings from it to inspire and rise a nation of people, to rise I and I consciousness, I and I spiritual consciousness, to awaken it in most stages, because many of I and I who came to the Father, when we came to the Father, we were coming out of different lifestyles that had nothing to do with righteousness. But the Father was able to wash us clean and to use the scriptures to rise our consciousness to a level where we could start to think for ourselves and to think consciously for ourselves, where we could start to understand what spirituality is and even understand the proper use of religion. Because while religion has become distorted, like the emperor said again, it was created as a moral compass to keep people centered. Our Father was able to redefine the use of it and to use it to elevate us in such a way that we were able to see ourselves now as the gods and goddesses that we were created to be. We were able to see that divine spiritual being within ourselves, and to understand that, like all humans that have walked the earth, we are equal. The Father and the Son is one. The deities that we speak of throughout the anciency of time, we are all like them. We all have the same ability to achieve the greatness that they achieve if we nurture our spiritual consciousness through the uplifting of good books, as the emperor said. Because while the emperor endorsed the Bible in totality, he also said we must read the good books. And he referred to St. John, which means that there are some books that might be more confusing, less clear, less meaningful. This again is what our Father, the Black Christ, understood. So he was able to interpret these scriptures in a way that was relevant to us as people of color. When originally rising up as Rastafari, I rejected the Bible because we didn't see the relevance in it. of I and I self, I and I black self, and in trying to regain our blackness, the understanding of who we were created to be. We didn't see the King James version of the Bible as being relevant, but the greatness of ones like King Emmanuel, Charles Edwards, and other elders that rose up during that time, being able to look within that same whitewashed version of truth and bring forth, an understanding that was relevant to I think is the greatest achievement of that generation of elders like King Emmanuel. That's why those elders back then, they chose biblical names that kind of reflected the essence of who they were. My Lord. Emperor.
Yes, give thanks, Honorable. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for giving that clearance. Because, in what you said, it really just shows the greatness, because, all right, that same book that King Emmanuel was able to interpret, as you said, and show us the greatness of ourselves, was also the same tool that the slave, I don't want to call them slave owners, but lack of a better word, the white men, the plantation owners that, enslaved our ancestors. They use that same Bible, corrupted versions of it, because they do have what I've seen a picture of a Negro Bible. And so they used that Bible to keep us enslaved, and Dada, amongst the other Rastafari elders, as you said, was able to look into it and see, how this same book that they used to hurt us could free us, just like how they say you can drown someone with water. You can also water a plant. You can give life with water, So give thanks for the Black Christ, bringing forward the life out of the book and bringing it to life, and the elders, the Rastafari elders, the Bobo Ahanti, early patriarchs and matriarchs who lived it and brought it forward to life, and took it from, a fantasy version into a reality. Honorable Empress Maisie, blessed love, Honorable.
My Lord.
Blessed Heart Sabbath. Give thanks for
Blessed love
life.
to you, my Lord.
Yeah, good to hear your voice, Mama.
Likewise.
So my question for the eye now is, all right, the eye grew up in the island of Jamaica, which, some of us may know that they say Jamaica has the most Christian churches per capita of any country, meaning, for the size of the place, it has more churches for the area than any other place. So it's like it's concentrated with Christianity. Now, growing up in that kind of society, what role did the Bible play to you as a young person before you found Bobo Ahanti?
Yes, my Lord, give thanks again for the Sabbath day. Give thanks to each and every one. All Sabbath keepers, glorify. As I never did this before, as you stated in your open remarks, but it is a good thing, and it's better to do good on the Sabbath today than to do evil. So this is a part of our service. See, we're going through as we're talking about the book called the Bible. Yes, my Lord, give thanks and praises. As a child, from I can understand myself, I see in my house is the Bible. My father and mother was Christian. And so the Bible always used in the house. Every morning, my dad, my mom, into their own space, will get up and they will sing and read Psalms and a scripture from the Bible. So the Bible, was very a part of our life, our daily duty in the morning to cut and clear for the day. So the Bible was very important. And growing up going to church, the Bible was a big part of church. You couldn't go to church and you don't have that Bible in your hand, carrying. They would say, where is the Bible? First thing, if you don't have your Bible, first thing was, are you going to church and you don't have your Bible? So where are you going to learn from? You understand? So the Bible was a big part of my life growing up as a young, lad growing, into the world, into the spiritual realms of things. The Bible was a big part of my life, And then coming to Bobo Shanti, that was even bigger too. When I came to the foundation to visit, and the first thing I looked for was to see if there's any Bible or in book. And when I see that, Bible was used in, because I came in the Friday night and Sabbath morning service, Psalms was reading from the Bible lessons was going through. I said, yes, this is the place that I wanted to be, quite spiritual. And the Bible, because they say some Rastaman doesn't use Bible. You understand? So I give thanks that the Bible, a big part of my life, and coming to Bobo Shanti, it was even bigger because we use Bible every second. Every moment you see a man with him Bible. Sometimes when them sitting down, sometimes when them sit, you see them with their Bible in their hand, trying to read a scripture or so. So the Bible is a very important part in our Bobo Shanti life, daily, 24/7. The Bible is our way of life. Give thanks to the teaching of King Emmanuel, who told you about the Bible, to teach you about the Bible. The Bible is your guideline, right? Take the good from it and follow. What is not yours, you leave it alone. What is yours, apply it onto your life and make your life better, So the Bible is very important, Majesty, in my life growing up as a spiritual documents.
Pardon. Yes, give thanks, Honorable. What differently from how you grew up understanding the Bible and viewing the Bible, once you came into Bobo Ashanti, the EABIC, what differences did you find, if any, with the interpretation and the use of the Bible?
Differences from other books?
No, like the way, like, all right, you grew up in the Christian church and they use the Bible one way and teach you things one way. Now, when you came to Bobo Ashanti, I imagine you learned some different understanding from the Bible than what you had been taught out in the world. So what kind of things were different?
All right, the difference is that in the Christian church, they really doesn't really teach you about the Bible, what is the real meaning of the Bible, like where you get it in the foundation. Take for instance, when you go to church, you have 7 priests on the altar, right? And when they read the prophecy, they explain it. If you're in the congregation, if is that what you mean, you're in the congregation in the Bible read, and you doesn't understand what that chapter mean, or there are certain things in the chapter that you don't get. No, the difference between the church out there and our tabernacle is that the priests them are there to read and to culture, to give us more understanding, of what that chapter, the chapter that them read and what it mean, and give you more clarity in yourself about the chapter that just read, verses to verses they explain to the congregation. So that is the big difference between out there, the past you will read, the pastor will read a chapter, or I'm not reading a chapter neither. He will take one verse from Genesis, then he go Revelation, take another verse, and he will put it together. But the difference is that we read chapter to chapter. You understand? So we get the full understanding. Say we're doing number 6. We start from verse 1 to when it finish, right? So we get the full understanding about that, the chapter. But you don't get it like that in church. They give you in different pieces. And that's a great difference. You get it more knowledgeable, edifying when you go to our tabernacle, because the priest explain as they read, down the line, my Lord. If that's a question, is that it?
Yeah, well, that definitely is, a good answer for sure. That's your answer, and you did answer the question if that's what you're asking.
Yes, sir.
I would open, that question up to others as well. If there's any, teaching that you received from the Bible before you came to Bobo Ashanti, that once you learn Bobo Ashanti order and learn how, the Congress interprets the Bible, what type of differences did you learn, to once you became a Bobo Ashanti? What did King Emmanuel teach us differently than what the Christian world is teaching? And when I say Christian, specifically the European Christian world still, because the Ethiopian Christian teaching, the Orthodox teaching of the Eastern churches is a bit different. I mean, not 100% different than the Western world, but it is definitely different. There are differences, but from the Western world Christianity teaching, what type of things are different as far as the doctrine coming from the Bible, as it when from the EAB, I see differently from the Western world Christianity?
My Lord.
Honorable.
Yeah, out there, when we went to church in Babylon, they taught us that the realm of God is something up in the sky, a place that was not reachable for I and I. And that the whole concept of God was, supernatural. So again, it wasn't relevant to I as a human. So we always looked up to one image that was supernatural and in the sense of no, I don't want to say unchallengeable, but you were not able to fully understand the essence of the whole divine livity, the divine order of life, because it taught you that it was a separate entity in a separate realm that man couldn't attain to or reach. It also taught you that you had to die to get the fullness of understanding of God. You die to achieve what they call the glory then. Well, our Father came and taught us that I and I have to live to achieve that glory. And that I and I also are gods and goddesses. He took the religion from out of the sky and out of that supernatural realm and brought it down to the realm of earth, where it was applicable to I and I as humans. That now we could see our human self and also see our divine self and be able to elevate to that divine level. So to I, that was a very monumental understanding that Dada brought to I and I.
Mm-hmm.
Because prior to that, as Rastafari, myself coming up in Rastafari, I rejected the Bible because of that teaching, that colonial teaching that we got. See, because then I'm saying, then if Christ is this supernatural person or superhuman person, and the rest of us can never be that or be like that or achieve that level, then how is it applicable to I man daily life? How does it help I to become a better person? But when Dada come and show I and I that any Christ is him, Dada. Any Christ is him, is I and I as well. It changed the whole paradigm. It changed everything. It changed my whole understanding of myself as a person. Because now I became responsible for my actions, one. And I became master of my destiny. Because the God that he taught I and I about is the God within. He didn't teach I and I to look out of I and I self to say a God, out there. The Christ that he was teaching I and I about was not even himself, It is I and I who saw the Christ in him. The Christ he was teaching I and I about was I and I. Was the Christ within I and I that saw the Father, saw the Son. So the Father is righteous, so the Son and the daughters must be righteous and can be and have been righteous. See? So that changed the whole understanding of godliness for I, man, who I grew up in a Methodist church. I left it and I went to a Catholic church, trying to find the understanding of this thing. And none of them could answer my questions. And the moment I found the Father, the answers started to just roll off. I started to understand more and more of my purpose as a being in creation versus looking out of myself and seeing God and this whole understanding of hell and damnation and fire and brimstone and all of that stuff that the preacher used to pour down on I and I from his pulpit. Give thanks.
Yes, give
My
thanks.
Lord,
Honorable, go through him first.
yeah, give thanks, Father. And if I may straighten what the priest is saying. So the
Absolutely.
teaching of the other is truth. The teaching of the Black Christ is the truth. You understand? Because what they then tell you, so when you're dead, you will see God, but the Father come and teach you, say, when no man dead and can see God. You understand? The God is within you, right? And the right you do is of God. The truth you live, the right you do is of God. And that's why that could teach us that man of right is God and woman of right is goddess. And we don't get that teaching out there into the Christian world. They don't say you have to be baptized or you're sinful. And if you're not baptized, you cannot see the face of God. God have no lot and part with you if you're not baptized. You see it and give your heart to Christ. But what is it? The whole thing is that they don't realize that God lives in you and in your heart. God live and dwell. See. So these are the teaching that the Father taught us different. Man of right. But what? You have to do the right. You have to live good. You see, you have to live right within yourself to be a man of right, a man of God. Yeah, you understand? So a lot of a different teaching, that we got out there. Not teach us of ourselves. It more teach us to look down on ourselves, while looking up for God, looking up to the sky, God coming down one day in chariot, and him soon come. And they're not realizing that the God is within you. The word you speak, the things you do that is of right is God. So we don't get that kind of teaching like what our Father King Emmanuel has taught us, that taught us the truth. The truth the Father teach us. That we can know ourselves and know who we are. You understand? Man of right, that we, woman of right, is God and goddess, my Lord. So that the teaching of them, the Babylon teaching and our Father teaching is very different. Way different. God teach us the way of life, teach us who we are and how we must live as a people, uprightness, see it within, and teach you, say, God is in you, not around about you as them teach you. In you he lives, in the heart. he dwell and live, my Lord.
Yes, I. The Jesse Black Jehovah, I live in the heart. Yes, I have never been told. Give thanks for the Black Christ who came to tell the other half, and to bring it into reality. And, I would like to add, give thanks to my Lord and Empress, my elders, for sharing what you have shared thus far. Very insightful, very helpful, hopefully, to those watching. And, I would like to add, all right, it's stated that the Sabbath, keeping of the Sabbath is the foundation principle of the EABIC. And, the 10 Commandments is where we get that concept every Sabbath day. The Exodus chapter 20 and 31 is read, to remind us. King Emmanuel brought these things to our remembrance, that the Sabbath is to be kept holy. The Christian church, they worship on the first day of the week, wherein, if they're basing their interpretation and their practices off of the Bible, the scriptures of the Bible, which, the Bobo Ahanti, order is constructed upon, then it doesn't make sense, because the creation happened in 6 days, and on the seventh day, Jah rested, and made it holy. So this is the day, the Saturday, the last day of the week, the seventh day of the week, that I and I are to, keep a holy meditation. If we're not in the tabernacle, or we're not close to a tabernacle, then, as he said, you can just take your Bible and spiritual books and documents, and go in your bed, in your closet, wherever you have, quiet and solitude, and do the spiritual work that you don't really get to do during the other days of the week, and focusing on yourself, building yourself, understanding scriptures, understanding the God internally, and the tabernacle now, the 7 priests on the altar, everybody wearing white, and, robe and turban, and everyone looking royal, and the Daniel #1 band, all the tabernacle settings, the 4 guards at the north, south, east, and west doors to the tabernacle, and, the fasting that happens on the first Sabbath, and all of these things, these principles, to make us more holy within ourselves, not comparing to anyone, but comparing to ourselves yesterday or the Sabbath before. Every Sabbath, from Sabbath to Sabbath, we should be, gaining more spiritual understanding, so it is a real great principle. It has helped me personally in my life in keeping the Sabbath, because before, I used to work a lot, and I would work on Saturdays, I would work on Sundays, and never really have a one day that I'm actually resting. And even, I notice people will, like, if they work 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, then on Saturday, they're doing their housework. And then on Sunday, they go to church. And then after church is football and, them kind of things. At least that's in America. I don't know about other countries, but that's kind of like the typical, like, Christian, especially Black people, Christian function and order of how they, operate, from week to week. But that weakens you, because you're never getting a day to really catch up. You're never getting a full rest, So I love the principle of actually not, preparing myself from Thursday and Friday to where when the Sabbath comes in, I don't have any work to do. Everything is neat and clean. I have food prepared, and I can really just get into myself and get into the scriptures and immerse myself in the God, within myself, and, also around me and others as well. So I think that is a very important thing that King Emmanuel got from the Bible, that he shared with us, that is helping to build us, and founding his organization, his association, upon such a principle of holiness, to keep the Sabbath holy. Says a lot about the man and his intention, with what he was doing to establish such a Congress, which is, churchical and statical and sabbatical as well,
Pretty, my Lord.
Yes,
Pretty. Every minute the light gone and the internet go on.
Okay.
Just that's what happened to me, just from morning, just going on like that.
All
So
right.
I miss what you were saying, Majesty.
Oh, pardon. I'm sorry, Honorable, but I was just elaborating about the fact that Dada took the Sabbath principle from the Bible and brought it to our remembrance, and the importance of the keeping the Sabbath, and how important it is to the Bobo Ashanti order, especially. But I also wanted to, with that now say that before there was a book called the Bible, the Sabbath did exist. The 6 days that Jah labored and the one day he rested existed. And it goes to show that the Bible itself is a written interpretation of nature, man's interpretation of how humans' nature, and also the nature of the earth and the cosmic that we live into. And we, in interpreting it, especially from King Emmanuel, I realized that as we practice, this order, we really align ourselves with nature, the laws of nature, and keeping the Sabbath and a lot of other things that we do, like, praying 3 times a day, at the uprising of the sun, the midday, and the downsetting of the sun. All of these things, is coming from the scriptures, but also you can see it in nature itself. So, I don't want to talk too much still, I'm the host, but just wanted to impart that important part. As we go into the Bible, we have a hand raised. Honorable, I don't know if it's priest or prophet, Camilo Las Heras.
My Lord, blessed love, majesty, give thanks for the Sabbath day. True, give thanks for this perpetual covenant between Jah Rastafari and its people. My Lord, I am Prophet Camilo. My Lord, born in Caracas, Venezuela, living in Chile since a couple years ago, right? And I do give thanks for such a time to reason in an important topic as it is the Bible for I and I. First of all, I would like to say that English, it is not my first language, right? As I was born in Caracas, so if any idea it is not clear, you can ask I, because I am interested in the ideas, get the clearest as possible. So I would like to give thanks for the interventions and the words of the priest, the empress, and the prophet same way. Give thanks for the precious words of life. Give thanks same way for our mighty Arda, our powerful and our serious Arda of life, which is, as the Honorable has said, based upon the Bible and on a particular interpretation of the Bible, where we are using all the information that we can take for uplift our way of life and manifest the God and Goddess of the earth. I would like to ask the previous question that the prophet, as host of this meeting, asked, related to the difference that the order of King Emmanuel bring to us within the interpretation of the Bible. And I would like to end my intervention making a short and brief question, especially to the priest and the empress as senior members of our Congress. I don't know if I have time to read 2 short paragraphs from Deliver Us from Evil. I don't know if the host can allow me to read.
Freedom, my Lord, freedom.
Use my reasoning. Yes?
Yes, I freedom.
My Lord, give thanks. I will read. It is short and I will continue elaborating. The selection of writings contained in the Bible, however, represent only some of the books of the ancient prophecies to which the white man laid claim. Certain others, which have proved wholly unintelligible to him, have been entirely omitted. Others have formed the basis of certain well-known Greek and Roman myths, and even certain modern children's stories. Of the rest, the white man has ascribed a wholly literal translation to all that it is contained therein, and offers its text as a factual and word-accurate account of past history from the beginning of time. In this, the white man is in grave error. I will skip a paragraph for time, and I will end the reading with this paragraph. The white world, in complete seriousness, offers this ludicrous and preposterous interpretation as the literal truth of how an all-wise and almighty creator founded his world and people it. It is difficult to determine for whom the white man has least respect, whether intelligent man or the almighty God. The story as written is accurate, but it is precisely that, a story. And it has, neither does it pretend to have any basis whatever. In fact, it is not an account of any single event in time, nor does it attempt to explain the beginning of the world. The Adam and Eve story is no more factual than the The Adam and Eve story is no more factual than that of Samson and Delilah, or that concerning Noah and his ark. They, like the Adam and Eve story, are purely and completely allegoric and prophetic in nature and in content, and then maybe they may be likened to the later parables told by the Christ, in that, like the parables, this story sought to clarify certain spiritual and unseen truths of life, and not to recount actual events of facts. So do give thanks, my Lord. These are the couple words from Deliver Us from Evil that I would like. I was trying to share. And first of all, I would like to say, repeat and emphasize what I said before. Give thanks to our Arda. You see it, because I and I here are building ourselves, trying to manifest God in flesh, in our actions, even in our thoughts, in the altar of life, you know, and build ourselves as God and Goddess of the earth through the liberty and the principles that King Emmanuel gave to us, right? In my experience, I as a prophet and as a student of this preceptical Arda, I have to say that during the time as I begin as a Rastafari before build thyself within the Congress, I had a short, I had a doubt about the literal interpretation of the Bible. Why is that? Because no, beside a prophet, I am a scientist. I am a doctor in physics, and an active doctor in physics, in theoretical physics. So during my first time in Rastafari, I was a student, and I always, when I read and when I was studying, I always found many questions raised in my mind about the literal interpretation of the Bible since Genesis 1 and 2. I'm not talking about our order and how I and I, you know, can make the most of our Bible by living. No, I am talking about the interpretation that we personally can give to the book. When I found King Emmanuel and I found this book, Deliver Us from Evil, and I start to build thyself within the Congress, all the pieces of the puzzle, they fix, you see it. Because when I read King Emmanuel understanding of the Bible, I know it is not written by him, but as far as I understand, it is the story is this empress that went and lived with them 3 months, and I think that she shared a lot with Dada and reasoning a lot of stuff and tried to make the most of the words of King Emmanuel within that book. As far as I know, this is the culture of the Deliverance from Evil. So when I read the understanding that King Emmanuel gave to the book has a book that we can apply to our day of life, you know, beside all the story that the book have and all the things, the wrong things that people has done with that book, we can, beside all that, use it and apply it to our daily life, as all the brethren has said. So as far as I know, this book, it is an official book that it is right now at this moment as we talk in the office of Zion Hill. Because when I start to understand this book and start to build myself within the Congress, I start to ask myself about the interpretation of the Bible according to this book, why it is not propagated as I think it should be. And I start to doubt about the origin of the book. And when I start to ask and to do research about that topic, I found that it is an official book of the Congress. I understand that it is right now in the office of Zion Hill, and whenever I have the opportunity to go, I will be able to go in and take it. So this mean that this book it is an official book of our Congress. So yeah, I would like finish this floor asking trying to see if it is possible to receive a feedback about the understanding of deliver us from evil in all the years of experience that, for example, Priest Dougie and Empress Macy have had. My Lord and Empress, do give thanks for the such opportunity to manifest these questions, my Lord, trying to get the fullness of the understanding about our way of life and our Congress and all the aims, objectives, and purposes that I have. My Lord and Empress, do give thanks. Blessed.
Yes, give thanks, Honorable Prophet. Give thanks for sharing the reading from that book. You know, I've read it as well, and I found it to be very enlightening. Also, I would, allow the Honorable Priest and Empress to answer the question.
Mama Maisie, you can.
My Lord,
As is that Empress wrote it, I'll give you the.
Priest Dougie, Honorable, I must say I heard about the book, but unfortunately, I never read it, Bobo. I never get it to read. I heard about it, Deliver from Evil, but I never read the book. I never see the book. I never get it to read, Bobo. So there is not much I can say about it, but what I can say, if it is coming from the Congress and it is the brethren and sisters write the book, then it is a good book, because every book that comes from the Congress, it's a good book, like The Observer, The Black Supremacy, The Let Us Guide, and all those books, but I never get the opportunity to read The Deliverer from Evil, my Lord. So that's all I can say about the book. I don't know. Prophet Daniel, you say you read the book, so you probably can expound on it, Majesty, but I never get that book to read. But I heard about it, my Lord.
Yes, give thanks, Honorable. Priest Dougie, did you want to speak to it?
I more would like to get a clearer view of some things that the Virgin had said. When he read from it, it stated some real facts, because a lot of the stories that come from the Bible are allegories. Now, people, the more religionist type people, take offense to words, allegorical. It's not a negative word, it's a descriptive word. It describes the kind of account that is given. Now, the account that is given, our ancient prophetical people, our sages, and our spiritualists, they used pictures to tell stories, firstly. Then they used stories to share messages. And that's what allegory means, using a story to share a message. It doesn't have to be factually right or a historical account. It can be a story made up, like I say, to depict a certain message. And that's all allegory means. And rightfully so, a lot of what we used to do as religionists coming up, in our younger days when we were Bible students to the max, was to literally interpret these stories and try to fit our lives into them, instead of trying to understand the message that they were sharing, that they were depicting to us. So on that level of reasoning, I can understand where the Virgin is saying he had questions previously, but after reading, became clearer because we
Mm-hmm.
could put the understanding in its right place, where things that are allegorical, they have a place and have a profound meaning and use, but they're allegorical. Don't try to see all the serpents that run on the earth as being evil and try to kill off all the snakes. Because the snake is only used as an allegorical reflection in the scriptures. You understand? So things like that, where we tend to, literalize everything, the Adam and Eve story.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to literalize those things, and out of that, this is things that we have been taught to do by the colonial masters for their purposes, because what that Adam and Eve story has done throughout the world is to paint the woman as being
Yeah.
and unequal to the man. The man
Yes.
is the divine being, but the woman is responsible for an evilous act. Nothing like that. Absolutely nothing like that. That is a misinterpretation to take away the divineness of the empresses. That's why we don't have the balance of truth among us right now, because the woman has one part of the truth, the man has one. What do I mean? The woman thinks about things from a woman intuition, motherly, virtuous way. We as man think about it now more pragmatically, from what the security of it, or the value of it and stuff like that. And the two ways is what make up the solid approach. When we put those two ways together, we have a solid approach, a balanced approach. See? So the misuse of the Bible, see, not understanding what allegories and myths are, have hampered our development. It kept us stuck in what the masters, the colonial masters, want us to be stuck in, which is religion. Religion is a box. It locks you in. It locks your mindset in. You cannot challenge or question anything divine. This is what it teaches you. So you lack clear understanding of a lot of things that you do because you don't question it. You do a lot of rituals and you do a lot of things in your rituals, and you ask people, why do you do this? Why is that done? Or why is that done? And nobody knows, because they don't ask, because it's something out of the realm of man into that divine realm. So we feel that if we ask a question, we are blasphemous. We are blaspheming. When there is no such thing, there is no such thing as a bad question. If you lack the understanding of something, you seek it. When you get that understanding, you become a strong advocate for the truth of what you just learned, versus when you believe or think, or you're not strong in your conviction because you're not solid about the understanding of it.
Timid.
Family.
If I may say, 2 points that Priest Doug make that is so true is, the man and the woman, right? Or they teach about the man and the woman, right? Like the woman put God on cross. You see, and make we look down on ourselves. Okay? But the teaching of the Black Christ is real. Yeah? And that teach us equality for one and for all. But into that teaching, understanding that man is the head. But not because man is the head, of course. That means that the woman, we are not equal, we are equal gender, right? One on the right, one on the left. And that's the teaching of the Black Christ, who teach us, the woman, who give us strength, and give us the power, and say, we are no evil, right? Because, we are no evil. We are good people. We are goddess. And if the woman was evil, why the Father make us? You see, so I'm going to give thanks to that, my Lord. The Father deal with equality for one and for all. But the man know them space, and the woman know her space. You see? So I'm going to give thanks for that too, I was going to say something else, but it kind of slipped me. It will come back, Majesty. I just want to strengthen that point. as the brethren say. Give thanks.
Yes, Honorable. Give thanks, my Lord and Empress. This moment, we're going to take a little music, hear a little music, let a little music run for a moment. To the listening family, stay tuned, because there's definitely a lot more reasoning. We're just scratching the surface, there's so much, this Bible reasoning really is more than one presentation worth of conversation, so just let us break it up with a little music here. Righteous music still. Yes, my Lord and Empress. This is the African Liberation Network. I'm the host, Honorable Prophet Daniel. And, we are the Bobo Ahanti International Study Group. Again, the topic on the table is the Bible. We're looking at it with a holistic view, from the Bobo Ahanti perspective to find the right and the wrong. Dada told us that there's right and wrong in the Bible. We hold on to the good and let go of what doesn't serve us, doesn't pertain to us. It's been a good conversation so far. Give thanks for Daniel #1 band, rocking the heartstrings of the righteous, drowning out all other music, give thanks for even the Black Christ who brought all of these things to our remembrance, even the concept of Daniel and the three in the fire, with God there with them, and also, the story of Nebuchadnezzar, telling the Hebrew captives to bow when their music was playing. But the Hebrews, the Israelites never did, bow down to that music. But, we stand with the Nyabingi order, the drum sound, which, we know that the drum, even though you don't really see the word drum in scriptures, Rastafari refer to it as harps, all in the Psalm. King David was a psalmist, and the harps are mentioned, on many occasions. Yeah, the instrument of 10 strings, the 10 strings being the 10 fingers. All of these different prophecies and things is I give thanks for King Emmanuel to really make it what it is for us, because otherwise these things are just like a fairy tale, fantasy that we never really can understand, because it doesn't seem that real, until you can actually see it manifested in flesh. So, give thanks for the Black Christ, in flesh. Holy Emmanuel, I, Selassie, I, Jah, Rastafari. So back to the topic of the Bible now. A lot has been brought up thus far. I would like to use the opportunity while we're here to really look at, the proper uses of the Bible and also compare them to the misuse of the Bible, because the Bible is definitely misused and misunderstood, misinterpreted, and even amongst Rastafari, even amongst Bobo Ahanti, some of our, brothers and sisters, in my opinion, misuse the Bible, to oppress, especially women, and other people, same way. So let's really look at it with a objective view and try to understand the best way to use the Bible and the way and even bring forward the ways that we should refrain from using it and refrain certain, mentalities and approaches, to life and to each other and etc. Because, before I open it up, before I ask a question, I just want to say this reasoning in the study group WhatsApp platform was controversial. There we have a diverse group, brothers and sisters, and from different age groups, from different backgrounds, even, as far as how they became Bobo Ahanti and all of these things. And like even we have on the program a brother who's a physicist, he's a scientist, so he's viewing all of this with a different eye as well. We all have a different dynamic, so the way we see things is always going to be different. Now, when we come to the table to reason, we have to have patience, we have to have understanding, that no two people think alike, no two people's experience is alike. We might have gone through similar situations, but you tell us, one person tells a story, you're going to hear one version, you're going to hear certain points, and those things are going to resonate with you. And I might hear something, not totally different, but definitely different. And both of those come from the same story. And that's what happens with the Bible, is that we all read it. Some of us may not read it. Some of us just read, say what we heard and remember things and just repeat those things without much understanding of what those things really even mean, which is very dangerous, in general. But we have to understand that just because I understand something one way and you understand it another way, it doesn't mean that we should be against each other. You shouldn't, and we also shouldn't question, like His Majesty said, we can't we can't judge the faith of another, because none of us really has all of the answers to say my way is absolutely right and your way is not in line with mine, so you must be wrong. Often when these conversations come up, people will question whether you really are Bobo Ahanti or whether you really are Rastafari, and to me, that's just corruption, because just because you see things one way and you may be right in your understanding as it applies to your life, doesn't mean that it's going to be right to me. And that's fine. I don't have to enforce my way. I just see it my way and I speak my truth, and everybody else has the right to do the same, because there's equality and justice for one and all, So with that being said, now I would like to ask, the group to let us together bring up some different points of how the Bible is misused, and let's give clarity to the proper use. Before the break, the aspect of the woman, came up, and the way that the Bible impacts how Rastafari and Bobo Ahanti relate to women, look at women, understand a woman's role, or whatever the case may be, because, all right, the Adam and Eve story was brought up as though it is definitely not a scientific or historical truth. It's an allegory. Now, within that allegory, we have a story of a man who was created first, right? And a woman who was brought forth from the dust and this man's rib, and created from a rib which has no practical reality whatsoever, because I have a navel and every human being has a navel, which is a telltale sign that you came from a woman, right? So unless we're saying Adam didn't have a navel and he was just born out of thin air, it doesn't really make sense. Now you go further. After saying that the woman came from the man, we say, well, the Bible says that a serpent, which is usually understood as a snake, deceived this woman and tricked her into going against the commandment of the Almighty God that created her and her husband, her king man, to live in this Garden of Eden peacefully, without death, without sin, forever. And it was paradise. And, the woman she listened, she obeyed the snake and not God. And because of her obeying the snake and going against God's word and his commandment, now the whole of humanity is cursed with death and sin. And all of the problems that we see in the world come from that one disobedience, so to speak, of a woman, the only woman, according to this story, that existed on the face of the earth. Now, when you hear something like that, it could give you a viewpoint that women basically they're responsible for all of our problems. If you would just listen, and it makes a man maybe feel like, you can't trust a woman, you can't believe, because I've heard these type of things espoused by Rastafari. You can't trust her because they're the ones who committed the original sin. And they say that woman is the weaker vessel, and there's a lot of biblical things, that really point to the woman as though she's not equal, and also not only not equal, but not capable of thinking properly and not capable of being a good person. Now, out of the 66 books in the King James Bible, version of the Bible, we have one book, Esther, and one book, Ruth. Now, correct, study group, help me if I'm missing anyone, but I think that's the only two books named after a woman. Right?
Judith, same way, Bobo, pardon. There is a version called in Spanish, Jerusalem version, which has 72 books instead of 66. And this version, which is the one that I have here for personal use, it contains a book called Judith, same way. Judith, Esther, and Ruth.
Yes, sir. Give thanks, my Lord. So yes, that's another aspect which we'll get to further along, is that the different versions and their books that have been included and left out intentionally by, people over the years. But before we reach that far, let's look at now the King James version, because that's what the Bobo Ahanti and Rastafari is founded upon, and that's where
Yeah.
our, when it comes to our, churchical aspect, that's where it's based off of, So I'll open up the floor. I just, kind of gave a foundation of, what I would like for us to look at, some of the wrongs and wrong interpretations of the Bible. Feel free, anyone, to further comment about the woman aspect, but also feel free to bring forth any others that, are discrepancies and that need to be examined with an objective view.
My Lord, there's also the story of the Samson and Delilah.
Delilah.
And because of that, you find that a nickname was given to the woman them.
Delilah.
Yeah, as Delilah. So these are misuse of the Bible and the stories from the Bible, not understanding the allegorical relevance or the allegorical application. We interpret things, within our space and our understanding. Now, this is where the Father come and teach us about the one saying, one doing. The one saying and one doing can only come through a general understanding. And that is why the 5 candlesticks are on the golden altar, to establish that general understanding.
7.
Yeah, 7 candlesticks. Yeah, that's why, I and I are there to establish the general understanding among humanity, to give clarity and clearance on spiritual interpretation. Now, again, it doesn't serve the African any purpose of dehumanizing our queens, because our culture is built on a king and queen, livity, a prince and princess, king and queen, emperor and empress. The duality, the balance, that has always been the African way. As a matter of fact, before Africa became a religious place, before it took hold of religion in the 1st to 3rd century, it was a matriarchal society, meaning that the woman had a prominent place in the village, in the community. And just through the interpretation of scriptures, she has been removed from that prominent place and relegated to other areas that are insignificant. So part of the priest's duty is to, make the crooked straight, to correct the mistakes, and to rectify, things that have gone wrong. And that is one of the injustices that has existed, where our society in general looks down on the equality of the empresses. I have always spoke of this tape that I have in my possession from early out as Rastafari, searching out, documentation on I liberty. And in an interview, the Ras is seated up in his palace, burning him chalice. And while he's being interviewed, and as him pull and sip on him chalice and meds up, they asked him the question about woman. And just the way he answered can tell you the heavy colonial upbringing, The man said, and this is exactly how he answered it. Oh, woman are the root of all evil. No, that shows you
We treated it so.
total colonial mindset that have been beat down on I and I. Because now we all come through our mothers. That sacred womb. Woman. She possesses the womb. She brings the life. Now, apart from that, the woman also does something that has been called unclean. Now, I want to clarify this use of the word, because while just like how we used to use the word Negro, and we step away from that word today, you know, we just embracing our Africanness because that word no longer has a positive energy to I and I. It's the same way we have the right to step away from any word that doesn't serve our best interests. And when we continue to define the woman as being unclean, that creates a certain mindset, you know. It may be written in certain scriptural writings, and that word might be used, but think about it, family. We are looking at things now from a realistic point of view. Seeing? When you hear about something unclean, you think about something dirty, something filthy, something that needs to be clean, something that needs to be sterilized, something purified. Okay? All right. Now, I understand the word purification because even I and I as man have to purify. We have to purify our soul. We have to purify when we have what they call a wet dream, to be plain, and other aspects of a blood issue. We have to purify before we can mount the goal. See, so we all have to go through some levels of purification but when we say the word unclean, that brings a certain kind of understanding into our one meditation right away because of the use of that English word, how it was taught to us. So now it makes us not understand and look clearly at the marvel of a woman. Now, as priests, we are the head of the church. We are the ones that perform the holy duties. In holy duties, you know, let the day. All right. So we perform those holy duties. Now, in the past, part of those holy duties was killing a he-goat and dove and different animals as sacrifice, as blood sacrifice for one's indiscretions and one's sins. Okay. Now, when we look at the reality of it, and the Christ, especially I and I, Father, the Black Christ, come and burn out that, liquid that. Everyone have to live and give account for their own actions. You know, you are responsible for your own actions. You are responsible for your sins and your indiscretions. Now, the mother being the ultimate nurturer, seeing, she makes a monthly sacrifice, you know, on behalf of life. Something that we call unclean, but it's a monthly sacrifice on behalf of life. You know, the concept of what they call the Holy Grail, just like the Rose of Sharon. The Rose of Sharon depicts a divine woman. The Holy Grail. What is the Holy Grail? It's also reflective of a divine woman. That Holy Grail, that cup of wine that they talk about as a sacrifice, as a sacrament unto the Lord. That our empresses, our mothers, our sisters, our queens, they make that monthly sacrifice on behalf of life. Because without it, life doesn't exist. When a woman ceases to make that sacrifice, she no longer is in childbearing stage. So that is a direct sacrifice every month on behalf of life. So instead of seeing our empresses as being sacred beings, we have been taught through the misuse of scriptures to see them as something less than sacred. No, we are not changing principle, you know. We're not talking about principle here now, because ones tend to listen with certain type of critical ears. So let me clarify clearly. We are not talking about principle and changing the principles of I and I liberty here, you know. We are talking about the use of words that denigrate our sisters and not uplift them.
True.
We're talking about proper definitions that apply to what is happening, and not definitions that cause negative thoughts when we hear them. Word sound is power. And if we all understand this, we will understand what I'm saying. Using the proper word to define and depict what we are trying to say versus going with the words that were given to us, because these are some of the symbolism that our Father says is in the Bible, you know. And it is up to I and I, his scholars, to read the Bible and detect these symbolisms and bring clarity to them. So we are not changing the principle that guides us, because the woman deserves her time away to build herself, to reflect, to do all the things that a woman do when she has the moments to do it. So we are not taking that away, that journey that she goes on within that moment. But what we are saying is, let us apply the words that uplift her and give justice to what she's doing for us. Because without that process, we would have no children. We would have no siblings. We would have no one, no life. You know, so let's do justice to it by looking at it critically. Give thanks.
Yes,
My
Majesty.
Lord.
Give thanks for that clearance, Honorable Priest Dougie.
Yes.
This is, very critical, for us to think critically, and not accept things that don't make sense, and not accept things that are detrimental to us. Certain perspectives can be detrimental for sure. Honorable Prophet Bevan has had his hand raised and has waited patiently. Give thanks, my Lord, for your patience. The floor is open, as you know what the topic is and where we are with it. Hopefully the eye is, going to speak to what it is that we reason about at this current moment, my Lord.
Give thanks, Prophet, Priest, and Empress,
My Lord.
Yeah, from Trinidad, still Wolf Chase, the Prophet Bev one, living in England now still. What it is I wanted to say about the Bible and the books from the Bible was about the lost books, the books that was taken out of the Bible. Because being a prophet and in the camp, around the priests and them as well. You learn nothing about the Bible and nothing, but you see the lost books of the Bible. We didn't learn much about the lost books of the Bible, which like Enoch was one of them and them from the Bible. And these books was like more like really showing us answers to the house of Israel, like enough answers and enough enlightenment more. So I just wanted to raise that topic of the lost books that was taken out of the Bible, because they were important, it was like to mislead us, so
The book of knowledge, then take away the book of
Yes,
knowledge.
Honorable Prophet, give thanks for putting that on the table.
That's
Definitely was going to come to that, because, all right, we just have to unpack it, one part at a time, before we get to that, because that's definitely on the agenda.
true.
For today's reasoning, my Lord. So, the eye is on point for sure. Before we jump there, though, let's, give a little bit more time to bring up some of the misuses and the misunderstandings and the misinterpretations. And that'll be that I intended for that to be the next topic, or, section of the topic that we go into, as far as like the different versions and the different books that have been left out and all of that. So, was there any more, to anyone's knowledge, any more misinterpretations of the Bible that we want to put on the table? I know for myself, thinking from an African perspective, right? This is a very big one, in my opinion. And I imagine most of my brothers and sisters would definitely agree. Currently, maybe not back in the day, it wasn't, but right now, this depiction of what they call Egypt now, which King Emmanuel referred to Jamaica as Egypt, and nowadays the concept of Egypt It's called the place, the geographical place was once called different names like Kemet and Tanahisi. And you know, it had different names. Most of them depicted some form of blackness, you know, the land of the blacks. Now, this place, the Upper Nile region, I guess it's called the Lower Nile because the Nile flows north from south. It goes from, you know, the Great Lakes region, also from Ethiopia, the White and Blue Nile, both have beginnings, and they flow north and they empty out into the, you know, the Delta. But the civilization began at the beginnings of the Nile, you know, in what they call the Great Rift Valley, you know, the Great Lakes region of Africa, you know, the mountains of the moon, as the Kemetic people refer to their beginnings. That's where they came from. They said they came from the mountains of the moon, which is, you know, Mount Nebo and Mount Ruwenzori, which that's in the central region, you know, Uganda, Rwanda, Ethiopia. And civilization began there, and it grew and flowed into the northern area and came to a climax in what they call now Egypt, which is now currently inhabited by mostly Arabs, you know, not the original inhabitants. And what I understand is that the people who were the original inhabitants, the Black people who were actually Bantu people, Black, you know, not like, you know, how His Majesty looks a certain way. He has certain features, and even Empress Men, and they're more like straighter nose, longer nose, and lighter skin. The hair isn't as kinky, it's not as tight. But the people of Kemet were Black like that. And you don't see them like that no more in that region. Reason being is that they were persecuted for their understanding of, you know, science. And just like any people that has the real truth, those who seek to conquer and divide and rule, they can't exist. They can't coexist with the people who have the truth, because when you're trying to rule people, teaching them about God and themselves is contrary to ruling them, because they know that once you're a God, nobody can rule over you. Nobody has authority over you because you're sovereign, right? So the people who were the priests in that area, who were able to figure out the mathematics and the science to build those temples and those sculptures and present the different sciences and maths like geometry, algebra, and you know, a host of other subjects that, you know, the modern world is really just now kind of in recent history catching up to, and even some of it they still haven't figured out. Those people were pushed out and fled into other parts of Africa, like Ghana, like Southern Africa. And so nowadays, with the version of the Bible and understanding that we get without understanding real history, we think that Egypt was a place where, like, as Bobo Ahanti, we call ourselves Israelites. We think that Egypt was a place where our ancestors were enslaved. Now, historically, that's just not a fact. There's no documents, there's no trace outside of the Bible. There's nothing real saying that anybody was enslaved in Kemet. And that's been proven, you know, by scientists who, you know, do their diligence and go there. We're just taking a biblical story and distorting it and trying to fit, you know, a religious text into a reality, which, as it was established by Honorable Prophet Camilo, a lot of this is allegory. And even Priest Dougie even said it as well, that this is allegory, that we're talking in symbolism. And so what I know, Egypt says, Egypt is translated as the land of bondage. Now, for us, Black people in the West and in the diaspora at large, the land of bondage is different. You know, I mean, Jamaica is one of them. Trinidad is another. All of the Caribbean islands, Brazil, North America, even Mexico and Canada, America itself. So we were brought over here as slaves, as our foreparents were brought as captives and made into slaves in the West. This is our land of bondage. So to me, this is the real Egypt. But and if I was to like demonify or make Egypt a wrong place, this is the only place I could see the wrong, because in the continent of Africa, Egypt is the child of Ethiopia. And the civilization of Egypt is the child civilization to Ethiopia. And I don't see the corruption that, you know, people want to attach to it. They say that Egyptians worshipped a lot of gods and had a lot of deities and stuff. That's just because of their lack of understanding. Because if they really looked into it, they would understand that the Kemetic priests and scientists were really just interpreting nature and you know, using the same, a little bit different strategy, but the same idea to use symbolism to explain, you know, phenomena that they were studying in nature, like in the animals and in the, you know, the heavens, you know, the sky, the stars, all of these things. They told the story through using animals and different, I don't know, allegorical figures to tell a story of reality. And for us to look at it as though they worship them is really just a misunderstanding. And that, to me, currently among the Black world and the Bobo Ashanti world, there's a divide because of a lack of understanding that some people feel like Egypt is an evil place and that we should make Egypt to be like wicked. And to me, that is playing into the trap of the oppressor, the European world, that wants us to hate ourselves and disassociate ourselves with everything that's African, and to understand that, you know, the Bible is the only book, the right book, and everything else outside of the Bible when it comes to culture and religion is wrong, you know. And that to me is definitely a great misuse, and it does a disservice to our growth and development. You know, feel free, anyone, to disagree, agree, comment on what I said, or bring up another aspect of, you know, this part of the reasoning. But yeah, I'll just leave it there. I think that I said enough on that particular topic.
Polytheism or monotheism is a concept that came out of Egypt. The concept that the Christian world has used to make I and I Africans look, you know, backward, hedonistic, or whatever words they want to apply to it, pagan. If you look at the etymology of the words, them though, I am not threatened by them, because pagan just means country dweller. Anyway, polytheistic, meaning that you identify the divine energy in more than one source. Monotheistic mean that you identify it in one source. Now, in Egypt was like a big university. Alchemy, you know, it was like a big university. You had Luxor, you had different, you know, temples of learning, temples of knowledge throughout. This is where the world came to study and to learn. This is where they learned civilization, mathematics, all the disciplines were taught in Egypt and was disseminated to the rest of the world from there. The Greeks were one of the first to come and study and learn about theology, that they could coin what we see today as religion. See, all of this came out of Egypt. Egypt has had several dynasties, meaning several different dispensations of greatness, achieving great knowledge from their studies that affected the human development. And we are, because of Christian interpretation, because Europe doesn't like people of color to have any prominence in anything, they interpret things a certain way. And we have been taught to think that way as well. So because of that, we are willing to reject the land of Egypt and all the great dynasties that existed throughout antiquity. See? And to embrace what reality, as one of our great heroes, Kwame Ture, said, I and I greatness, or I and I tradition, I and I liberty didn't begin with slavery. And our greatness is from antiquity. And a lot of that greatness, as the prophet said, came down the Nile through the Rift Valley and culminated, it passed through what it was known as Nubia, Put, which is Sudan today, right down into the great Akibia land, right down into Kemet. So now, are we willing to give up the understanding of all that greatness for the misunderstanding of our word? Our father said Egypt, Jamaica. He said Egypt, America. He said anywhere the black man found himself under oppression was Egypt. Egypt is more a concept than it is a location, a geographical location. Because of the allegory of the Bible, we use the word Egypt to depict bondage. But we cannot apply that to alchemy, Kemet, to all the great dynasties that came down from Ramesses coming down, and what they did that today makes humankind what we are. The understanding of the divine came through Egypt, the great multi-genius Imhotep came from Egypt. So again, here, great comparison, Daniel. Here again is one of the main reasons why we have to understand how to use the Bible. Because you have many of our brethren that will fight you tooth and nail about the Egypt reality. And without the reality of Egypt, a lot of our rituals would have no historical relevance.
Yes, sir. Even Melchizedek, as we studied before, Thoth, Jehuti is a Kemetic concept, which existed obviously before Kemet, because we're talking about Christ, we're talking about the Creator in a human form. So it had to exist before it was interpreted and made into a thing. But this, the Kemetic version is just is one version and one understanding, probably one of the oldest for sure. So to disregard it and to throw it in the trash, to me, is a great disservice to people who actually had good intentions and did good works and laid down some fundamental, foundational science. Yeah, and that we're really just now unraveling and able to comprehend. So yes, my Lord, we're watching the time. I have other things that I have to manage. So good reasoning has no end. So we have to stop to start again. I would love to continue this, in the coming Sabbath. This particular topic, as the brethren had brought up, the other books of the Bible and even the different versions of the Bible, that's something we have to look at as well. Because the Ethiopian version has 84 books. Then Honorable Prophet Camilo said that he has a version, a Jerusalem version with 72. The King James version has 66. And they're making new versions every day. There's American Standard Version and, all kinds of different versions. So you have to look at what is the, differences in these versions. His Majesty, in the speech that I read earlier, His Majesty said the word still remains, the message still remains the same, and that all of humanity should rally around this particular book. So we have to, understand, is there any big difference? Is it, worth understanding the differences and just kind of compare and contrast the various different versions of the Bible and even looking at the books that have been left out, as the brethren, Honorable Prophet Bevan had told us. But, just in the interest of time, we're going to have to seal up. I would like to offer the floor for, brief summary. If anyone has any closing remarks, not too long, please, but closing remarks, anything that one's feel that, is a absolute, this is the most important thing out of the reasoning, or putting the Bible in perspective, proper perspective. So the floor is open, one at a time.
Well, Emmanuel is a good teacher, Emmanuel come and say follow the right man still, so I put my trust and my faith in Emmanuel still, no matter what them do with the book and what thing, I just follow Emmanuel and try and learn more from the man. So I do give thanks for the man, all right, and I know and the reason and the books and certain things because Jah is the good teacher, my lord. So give thanks still.
My Lord, give thanks for the eye presence. It's nice to virtually meet the eye. I don't think I ever, buck up on you, before now. So give thanks for coming in. Welcome to the African Liberation Network. You're always welcome. If you want to join the WhatsApp group, study group, you could email me, or I think email would probably be the best way to read. Do you use email, my Lord?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Them things.
All right. Well, my email, jadaniel.r7design@gmail.com. So if you want to, join the WhatsApp group and be a part of the conversation, feel free, send me your WhatsApp link if you use WhatsApp, and we can add the I in, my Lord. And that goes for anyone really, but we're really looking for ones to add to the conversation still, because currently we have a lot of members that, need to reason more. And so we don't want spectators. We want ones who are going to come to research and come to share what they know, to add to the conversation, because the more we reason, the more we understand, the topics, but also the more we understand each other. And understanding definitely each other makes us more gummy, makes us more together, makes us have more of a one voice instead of being contradictory to each other when we go out to speak, so it's a must, Honorable Prophet Camilo, my Lord, the floor is yours.
My Lord and Majesty and Empress, do give thanks, Majesty, for this such opportunity. I had a short reasoning to do about the misuse of Bible same way, but I will left it and try to fix it within the topics of our next meeting for matters of time. But as a closing remarks, I would like to say a short things about the topic that we were reasoning about Egypt a couple seconds ago, and it is that, and I am sorry to be redundant, but it is also reasoned on the deliver us from evil, right? Where it is clearly says that according to King Emmanuel understanding, Egypt refers to the land where Black people it is being captive during the 16th and 20th century. So I believe that if this book it is official of our Congress, you see it, I believe that we should found a way to promote the studies of this book, because it is a key to understand Bible and same way to understand our way of life. So we can promote some spaces to reason about a book that it is official of our Congress, because as I mentioned before, it rests on the office of Zion Hill as far as I know. So maybe make spaces to reason about this can improve our congregational understanding about our Congress and our liberties and way and our aims and objectives. My Lord and Majesty, blessed Lord.
Knowledge, my Lord, give thanks.
Yes, Prophet, give thanks, Lord, for your contribution. And also you're welcome to, if you are interested, join the WhatsApp reasoning. Again, and this is, YouTube viewers as well, my email, jadaniel.r7design@gmail.com. Give me your WhatsApp link if you want to join. Otherwise, we will continue to live stream in the future. And, ones and ones are definitely free to join us. Even if you just want to join the live stream, that's whatever you can do, Jah would receive the little or the much that we can do for him, to establish his kingdom, So all are welcome within righteousness of salvation still.
Sabbath, my Lord. Sabbath, my Lord, and Empress.
Honorable, blessed are the Sabbath, my Lord.
Okay.
Priest Dougie, Empress Maisie.
Yes, my Lord.
Honorable.
Priest, you want to go?
No, mommy, you are
All right.
speaking.
Okay, my Lord. Yes, honorables, give thanks, for the study group reason, same way. Give thanks for this glorious topic, the Bible. Give thanks to all what's said and done, Majesty. Give thanks to each and everyone who, join in and put their views, we give thanks, my Lord. Honorable Priest, Dougie, my Lord, I must say that I define the uncleanliness so good. I felt so good when you're talking about it, Majesty. I didn't even have anything to say because you said it all, Priest. Because as a empress who really live, with man and man upon the foundation, we've been through it, Bobo. We've been through it, right? So I know exactly what you're saying. And I was just smiling to myself, my Lord. I give thanks to you. You define it, don't honorable. Daniel, give thanks for the program. It's edifying, same way. Give thanks to our point of right. The Bible, the Father said, take the truth, take the right from what the Bible have to offer and make it be our guideline, right? Because it tell you how you must live as a people in righteousness, right? Leave what is not ours, what not pertaining to I and I. We don't deal with it. As you said, the Bible is used for good things and bad things, right? People take the Bible and do all kind of things with it to the understanding what them get from it. But God children take the good sayings and writing of the Bible and they apply it unto their lives and make our lives better as we go along this life journey, right? We give thanks for the teaching of the Black Christ, his culture, and how we must live. The commandment, everything is in the Bible. And the last thing I must say, the Eve and Adam story, I don't believe in it because the Father takes 6 days to create heaven and earth. And on the last day, which is the 6th day, he made man and woman. And he said, give us the earth, dominion, right? We must have dominion. So I can't put all of that with the Adam and Eve thing. You see, so I never really take on to the Adam and Eve, even though the story they taught us when we were small growing up, but since I came to the Black Christ teaching, and the Father has taught me well about that, that gone. I don't believe in that story anymore. But people do, even at this time. And there's no one ribs from a man to make up high. I have my full amount of ribs. That's God. Right? So I give thanks, my Lord, for the true and divine teaching from our divine Father. Yeah? Yes, my Lord. Give thanks again, Daniel, for the host of the program, Doug and all my brothers. Blessed love to one and all. Give thanks, my Lord. Blessed love.
Honorable.
Give
Give
Honor
thanks.
and majesty, mama. Honor and majesty. Come
Yes,
on.
I.
Yeah.
Come on.
Give thanks for those closing words. I won't even bother. Y'all did it. Y'all said it all. I thought it was a great reason. I give thanks for everyone's contribution. Together we walk, together we talk, together we wash one another's feet. Some people say we have no need, but we know that we're doing the Lord's commandment, principles, laws, and commandments of our Father, the Most Right, Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, the Black Christ in flesh, who brought all of these things to our remembrance. At this time, before we seal up, I would love to employ the angelic voice of our mother, Honorable Empress Maisie, to sing us a closing hymn, which I feel is very appropriate because this is the Bible and hymn book way, without a doubt, King Emmanuel way is the Bible and hymn book way, and it wouldn't be, official if we didn't have Mama sing, for the African Liberation Network family, study group family.
My Lord.
Mama, you ready?
My Lord.
Yes.
The Honorable. Can you
My
hear
Lord.
me?
My Lord.
Yes, I.
just quickly, I don't want to delay the beautiful angelic voice, but I just wanted to share one quick meditation as we seal up.
I'll go through.
Yeah, we say the Bible is the Holy Bible. And the Bible came out of I and I, out of humans. So if we can see the Bible to be holy, we must see each other as well on that divine level. The same reverence that we give to something that is made from, the trees, we must give greater reverence to each other as divine beings within the liberty of Christ, Most High.
Oh.
Holy Emmanuel is Selassie.
Selassie, Jah, Rastafari.
My Lord.
Honorable. Yes, I. And that was a great segue into our closing hymn, which I chose personally. And what you said, I mean, is right. I mean, yeah, there's an introduction without me asking you to introduce the hymn. Empress Maisie, I made a change, executive change at the last moment. Our closing hymn is taken from the Black Christ Salvation hymnal, hymn number 20:1. Take time to be holy, speak oft with thy Lord. Abide in him always and feed on his word. Make friends of God's children, help those who are weak, forgetting in nothing his blessing to seek. Most High, Selassie, Rastafari.
Yes,
As
my
we
lad.
continue with this, our closing hymn.
I am joined with my son, Priest Daniel, so we will be both singing it, my Lord.
My Lord and Empress, glorify.
Blessed love.
Blessed love, priest.
My Lord, glorify. And I give thanks for the program, same,
Yes, I give thanks for the presence, my Lord.
Yeah, we just came in a little while, just in time, for the closing him, same,
Yes, I.
And like how you make that change, it kind of sound a little more challenging, so I know it would be good for me to be there beside her side, right beside her,
Perfect, my Lord.
Balance, man, the balance.
Yes,
Word of God, give thanks.
All right, so as we continue with this, our closing hymn, taken from the Black Christ Salvation hymnal, hymn number 20:1. Take time to be holy, speak oft with thy Lord.
Take time to be holy, speak oft with thy Lord.
Abide in him always and feed on his word.
Abide in him always and feed on his word.
Make friends of God's children, help those who are weak.
Make friends of God's children, help those who are weak.
Forgetting in nothing his blessing to seek.
Forgetting it's nothing is blessing to keep.
Take time to be holy, the world rushes on.
Take time to be holy, the world rushes on.
Spend much time in secret with Negus alone.
Spend much time in secret with Negus alone.
By looking to Negus, like him thou shalt be.
By looking to Negus, like him thou shalt see.
Thy friends and thy conduct his likeness shall see.
Thy friends in thy conduct his likeness shall see.
Chorus I sabbatical.
I
Take time to be holy. Let Jah be thy guide.
Take time to be holy. Let Jah be thy God.
And run not before him, whatever betide.
And run not before him, whatever betide.
In joy or in sorrow, still follow thy Lord.
In joy or in sorrow, follow thy Lord.
And looking to Negus, still trust in his word.
I'm looking to niggas, still trust in his word.
Take time to be holy, be calm in thy soul.
Take time to be holy, be calm in thy soul.
Each thought and each temper beneath Jah control.
Each thought and each temper beneath Jah control.
Thus led by Jah spirit to fountains of love.
Thus led by Jah spirit to fountain of love.
Thou soon shalt be fitted for service above coming down.
Thou soon shall be fitted for service above. Oh, in the holy Mount Zion, 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 I, Lord, holy Mount Zion, Zion. Last year, Jah, Rastafari. Take time to be holy, be calm in thy soul. Each trial, each tempter beneath his control. King Emmanuel the seven,
Jah,
Rastafari.
Bless and
My
sanctify,
Lord and Empress. Bless
Oh,
him.
glorify
Give
my Lord and
thanks.
Empress. Beautiful singing.
Majesty, my Lord.
Yeah, give thanks for the balance, man and woman, you know, together.
Yes.
Let's singing praises unto our God and King Jehovah.
Jah.
Rastafari.
My Lord.
Yes, royal family, you know, this is the Bobo Ashanti study group. I would turn it over to the Honorable Leading Priest Jaduggi to say a prayer as he opened it with prayer to close the program. Yes, and, you know, give thanks for everyone for tuning in. Hopefully this has been a spiritual upliftment to the listeners and viewers now and in the future. Hopefully it will serve us all, you know. Give thanks again, my Lord, Empress.
Glory be unto our Father, unto his Son, unto the Holy One of creation. As Jah was in the beginning, is now and ever shall be, the world without end. Selassie, Jah, Rastafari. We give thanks, O Father, for this moment of communing, one with another and with thou in the presence. We ask thee to bind our hearts in one creation love. We ask thee to guide us throughout our lives, that we may serve thy will and thy will alone. That thy will may be done on earth as in Zion, Most High. Holy Emmanuel, I.
Selassie,
Jah,
Jah,
Rastafari.
Bless all thy loved ones in Christ, O Father, and keep us safe while we trod through the evils of this world. This we ask through thy love and thy mercy, through thy grace. King Emmanuel the Seventh.
Jah, Rastafari.
Blessings and love.
My Lord.
Love, Royal Family, Four Wings Internationally. Give thanks again. This is the Bobo Ahanti Study Group. Give thanks for the reasoning on the Bible. Yeah, give thanks for all who contributed. Give thanks for all who tuned in. Until next time, my Lord and Empress, our guidance and protection, our strength and powers, and continue to enjoy the rest that the Lord has given unto us in his Sabbath. Most High, Selassie.
Glory be, my Lord.
All right.
Glory be.
Glory be. Blessed, blessed.
Blessed love.
Blessed, blessing, blessing.